Stupid Garbage Podcast.
Oh, I like that.
One song, glory, about my balls. One song, about my dick. Jess, hello?
Yeah. No, as I've already said today, glory and your dick should not be in the
One
same
song,
thing.
glory, about my taint.
All
One
right.
song.
I'll give you that.
Thank you.
I'll recognize the glory of your taint.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anytime.
Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming on my taint. So, what, darling, do we... Oh, we have 2 or maybe 3
Oh, I was really looking forward to this podcast, actually.
movies to review? Why do I think we have 3?
I don't know. You're dumb.
Did we...
I watched a movie without you.
No, we watched... Excuse me, a movie... I think we watched a movie that we didn't...
Oh.
Sorry. Didn't review... it doesn't fucking matter. So...
Okay.
Oh, I think we rewatched Birds of Prey, but did we review that?
No, we didn't.
I don't fucking
We've
care.
watched a lot of movies lately that we haven't reviewed.
So, and a horror.
Yeah.
So, we watched 2 movies. Count them 2.
Well...
And, yep.
Well, I was going to say, like, before we get into this...
Okay.
First of all, we have a group of friends that saved my goddamn life during this quarantine. Like, they came out and they were like, hey, we're going to watch movies once a week. And then it kind of became, we're going to watch movies once a week and then also whatever days we want to. So we're just, like, constantly... There are movies that I could choose whether or not to participate in. And there have been, like, multiple days where I've been kind of down. And then they were like, we're watching a movie. And I was like, fuck yeah. There's purpose in my life. And I get to see all my friends.
Free Willy. Starring...
Michael Jackson.
Nope.
Yeah.
I do not believe he is in the movie in any capacity. Is his music in
Yes,
the
it
movie?
is. He sings
Sure.
the song that I love.
But he's not in it.
No.
He sings the song Ben. No, that was the Jackson 5. That was way before Free Willy. What was Free Willy? 1989? So it's a musical podcast. So no, what was Free Willy? 89?
But I'm only human.
89?
I don't know.
Free Willy?
I don't.
Jessica?
Jessica? I don't fucking know. What?
Willy?
What's happening?
It's a lightning
I don't know
round.
who it's starring either. I don't know the name of the kid. I thought he was
No,
cute
forget
though.
the kid.
I was like,
the
this
whale.
is
the
the
whale,
bad boy.
the whale,
I don't know the name
killer
of the whale.
Shamu.
Really?
No, I don't know.
Oh.
It's what I assume every killer whale is named. Either Shamu or Wilsiax.
Wilton. I feel like
whatever that name, Willie would be his name. But there was in South Park there was a whale that they sent to the moon.
Oh.
The Mexican Air Force or whatever space program.
Yeah, the whale thing
Free
is
Willy.
just. I mean, boycott SeaWorld.
1993, Jess, you weren't even close.
Because of abuse.
88. God damn.
Idiot. So anyway, the other point that I was going to say before we start this podcast, I don't know if you're
James
still.
Richter.
I don't know if there was like a purpose to your Free Willy situation, but I have some news.
His name was Kelko. Oh no, Kiko. Must have been a girl.
Cute.
Kiko was a male. Okay. Kiko, maybe it may be Keiko.
You need
It's
to calm the fuck
Keiko.
With these.
It was 12,000 pounds. Jesus.
Cool.
Wow, I didn't realize elephants were as heavy as killer whales. I would have
think
assumed killer whales were like twice
way
as
later.
heavy. No, I would have assumed they're huge. They're
No, they're
humongous.
tiny.
Okay.
Compared to an elephant?
They're not. No, they're not tiny.
They're not as big as an elephant.
I think the heaviest killer whale is probably heavier than the heaviest elephant.
Didn't you just look up?
This specific killer whale was 12,000 pounds.
Killer whales, I think, are by far my favorite sea creature.
Males get up to 12,000 pounds. It's the same size as I think an African elephant.
She's a big boy.
He.
Oh, was he? Yeah. Anyway, I don't know what's happening with this Free Willy thing. Can we?
They're 26 feet long. They're huge compared. Whatever.
They're little.
Whatever.
Like Peaches is super long, but he's not very.
Whatever.
thick. Okay. Anyway, the other thing that I was gonna say, there's some crazy. A lot of people. It's kind of a downer. Have died this week.
What?
John Travolta's wife died.
Oh yeah, that was sad. Something Presley
Cancer.
or whatever. Yeah, breast cancer.
And
his son died.
a while
Not
back.
recently, but yeah, 2009. But he was 16.
Elvis Presley's grandson died.
What?
He got shot.
Hold on.
And then the third case, which I think is the most... I've been hearing the most about it because it started off as a missing person case.
Oh, the girl from Glee.
Yes,
Yeah.
Naya Rivera.
I was talking to when I was on the phone with Rachel, my sister. Is that show cursed? 'Cause
seriously,
that one dude
3 people
overdosed during the show. Like
Yes.
the main character
Yes.
OD'd in the middle of the show.
Yes.
And then that one guy was arrested for kiddie porn, and then
Yeah,
did he kill himself?
he killed himself.
in jail. And now this woman,
Mark something maybe.
yeah, who knows? the goth one, and then this woman, the punk one, whatever. This woman who played.
No, I thought he was so hot.
Santana, no.
Yeah, I think so. Something like that.
So this woman who played something like that her 4-year-old son was found alone on the boat.
33. Like,
So
I thought she'd be so much older.
presumed
No. She was found. Her body was found.
Oh, it was?
Today.
Oh, I thought it was missing.
I've been keeping very
I
close
read it
tabs on
yesterday.
it.
So
Yeah. I've been watching the news like literally twice a day about it.
Jesus
I mean,
Christ.
I just watch the news all the time, but so they did find her body. They discovered it was like floating at 9 a.m. or 9:30 a.m.
These
today.
are all main cast members of the show, right?
Yeah, no,
Like
these
3
are all,
out of like 8 people
these
who
are all
are
of
in their
the
20s or
core-
30s.
I
Died.
Yeah, her 4-year-old son
Peculiar
had a
deaths.
life vest on, and her life vest was in the boat, and then someone found the little boy.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, I'm really happy that she didn't take her son out. Like, I'm glad that they weren't both swimming.
Oh, she was swimming.
Yeah.
Oh.
So they ruled that it
Swim with
wasn't.
a life vest on.
Well, I'm sure she was like,
Were
I
they
don't
on
know.
open water?
Yeah.
Alone?
Yeah.
God damn.
But I mean, I don't know. I'd be like, it's a fucking lake. What's gonna happen?
No, it's a lake. Lakes are enormous.
Yeah,
The Great
but they're
Lakes
not dangerous.
Of course, they're dangerous. This wasn't a Great Lake, was it? Let me
I
say.
don't think so. I mean, when
I don't think it was. I think
like
it was in
my
California.
camp friends and I, we would all swim in a lake. At
Right,
camp.
but there would
like,
be a lifeguard.
No,
and-
I know, but there was never remote. Like being in that body of water didn't feel any different than being in a pool. So
It's a
like,
cove. Well, that's not.
it's not.
Yeah, in a California lake. Lakes
Yeah.
can have tides. Lakes can be hundreds of feet deep.
I know that they can be really deep, but like so.
If it's a big enough body of water to go boating on,
Yeah.
you shouldn't be swimming
Okay.
by yourself. Presumably, she was a decent swimmer, but still, if you're
Yeah, I would assume that she was like
if
confident enough to take her
don't
life vest off.
don't bring, even if you're a good swimmer, don't bring a 4-year-old and then leave him on the boat alone. Because
That's
even
true.
if you're a good swimmer, you swim for 5 minutes, you're leaving a 4-year-old unsupervised on a boat.
Yeah.
Even if
He
nothing
could have
happens
toppled
to
the boat
you,
over
right? He
or
could have
something.
capsized the boat, or he could have hit something that made the boat move, or he could have fallen in the water himself. And even with a life vest,
He could have been
certainly
upside
drown.
down. Yeah.
He could just fall in face first.
Yeah.
He could have just found scissors or something. Don't leave a 4-year-old unsupervised anywhere.
I mean, yeah. Who knows?
What the fuck are you doing?
Before we're blaming this victim.
Yeah, if you're right, this
know.
dead woman. If she did this on purpose, she's an idiot. If she fell off the boat or something, that's tragic.
I mean, it's still tragic if she didn't.
Sure.
If she did it on
but
purpose.
it's also stupid.
Because again, like I would. Who knows?
If you're the victim of your own stupidity, I don't know how tragic it really is.
It's still tragic.
Well.
Because I would do that. Like, I would be like, oh, I know how to swim. I've swam in a lake before. I don't think it's that unreasonable to make the jump. Especially, like, I don't know where they were. They could have been right in the middle of it. Like, if they were, in fast-moving water with a bunch of rocks, I'd be like, hey, probably not smart. But, like, if you're in the middle of a big body of water, it wouldn't be that weird to me to have that thought of maybe I should go take a swim. I will not go that far from my son. Like, maybe she got caught in something or something happened and she... Who the fuck knows? What?
I just like looking at you.
Oh, thanks. I don't want the takeaway from our Naya Rare section to be that she's stupid, because that seems a little harsh.
No, man, it's so stupid that it killed her. Assuming this is what happened.
Yeah.
Then it's so stupid that it killed her, and could have killed her son.
Yeah,
because
it's not
he was just
great.
he wasn't in the water and he had a life vest on. Great, he's a 4-year-old. He's not an infant. He can take a life vest off. It's not that hard.
Yeah, I mean, no, you're...
And he was alone
you're
on a boat.
right.
He could have starved to death or just died of exposure or
You're right.
what. Could have just fallen in. Something could have hit him. Whatever.
Yeah.
She could have, due to this negligence, could have killed her child.
Yeah.
If it was this thing that we're postulating and positing happened,
Yeah.
she's an idiot, and people should know how stupid it is so that it doesn't happen to other people.
Yeah.
If she just got caught or something and fell off the boat, that's terrible, right? If she was just standing on the deck of the boat and she fell over,
I'm saying
that's sad
even if she just
and
intended
horrible.
on going on like a 30-second dip, or like, oh, I'll just be where I can see my son the whole time, like something tragic could have happened. That
Something
she
tragic
couldn't have-
did happen.
I know, but
She went alone into a cove without a life vest on
yeah, right.
and left her son unsupervised on a boat.
So
That was the tragedy, and she paid for it. It's a stupid thing to do.
it's funny because like all of the Glee stuff is tragic, but also like the guy who killed himself because he was a pedophile. Don't know how tragic that really is. And the drug overdose, same thing. Like it's kind of it's sad, but also don't do drugs. Like it's kind of not that it's their faults, but I don't really know how to say that in a nice way, but it just,
No,
you know,
I get it, man.
it's less tragic than cancer, let's say. It's less tragic than something neutral. It's, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, Glee, and then I think Leah Michele actually deleted her Twitter because she was getting attacked because apparently Naya Rivera, like, wrote, basically the guy number one was her long-term boyfriend.
In the show.
Of Leah Michele. No, in real life. They were, like,
Oh.
dating. She had, like, a tattoo of his name or something.
Oh, that's bad.
She thought she'd never find love again, and, like, it was a whole thing, and she got really depressed.
The guy OD'd?
Yeah.
That's too bad.
And then her relationship with Naya was that it didn't, apparently they had a very kind of a rough relationship, and Naya wrote about her in, like, a memoir years later. So I think she's getting, like, a lot of attacks now where they're like, everyone that you, like, you're the common theme. And,
What? No,
Yeah.
man. No, man, if you're like a bruja, you're a cursed woman,
yeah.
then you would have to argue that there is a common theme, not just people you've met. If you had this, if she broke up with this dude,
Yeah.
and then he died, and, you know, you'd say everyone that you scorn,
Yeah.
maybe you're killing them. You know, there's this murder conspiracy. Everyone that she hates and has beef with,
Yeah.
and this contentious, acrimonious relationship with ends up dead at a young age in mysterious circumstances, then you'd say, yeah, look into that. But no, the first dude was her long-term boyfriend. And the
Yeah.
second one was presumably
Well, who knows?
an enemy.
Yeah.
That's not, you don't just kill anyone in your life.
And I don't know if there's a relationship between her and the second guy, so I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, besides cast members, but it's, I can't imagine she's the, plus no one else from any other project she's been in has died.
True. Has she been in any other project?
She was in that movie that I thought you were watching that you were not, with that New Year's Eve movie with Ashton Kutcher, and she's trapped in an elevator with Ashton Kutcher for the entire movie, and he draws her.
Ew.
That's, I mean, it's kind of like Love Actually, where it's 7 or 8 different stories.
Yeah,
all told.
it's like Valentine's
Zac
Day.
Efron's in it. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't remember. It might be just called New Year's Eve, but
Okay, I think it is, and I
it
think
was
I've
not
seen
very
it,
good.
but
But she was in it. She's been in plenty of stuff. She was on
I think I
Broadway
saw it
for
on a plane.
something, I think.
oh yeah, alright,
She's
whatever.
been in
Like Wicked or
things.
some shit. I don't know.
Ashton Kutcher is doing just fine.
Yeah.
Zac Efron, top of the world.
Apparently,
It's
he's in a
just
new
Glee.
show too.
He was Ted
like,
Bundy.
He tours. Yeah, that was sucked. He tours the world doing some like wellness/sustainable health nonsense. He went to Iceland to the Blue Lagoon, and I was like, oh, I was supposed to go there this month, and it got canceled. But
Yeah.
he apparently has like a.
We were supposed to be there now.
Yeah, we would have been in the Blue Lagoon today.
Yesterday.
My
Or
heart.
the day before. We would have been going to. We would have been leaving Iceland right now, actually.
Oh, kill me. We
Well,
would have been
3 hours
going
ago. We would have been
bigger
in,
and better.
would have been in Sweden by now, I guess.
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, and they were like, oh my god, his dad bod is so sexy, and I saw like a couple of pictures of like the shoulders up. It wasn't really anything, but like he by no means has a dad bod. Like dad bod implies like not fit and just like letting. Why are you smiling? Yeah.
Zac Efron does not have a dad bod.
He doesn't have a dad bod.
Yeah.
Come on, he's still super fucking hot. Like they're dumb. Anyway, goddamn. Do you want to review What Women Want or Face Off? I wasn't really paying much attention to Face Off, to be honest.
Yeah, no. That's,
Like a bunch of the dudes afterwards were like, "Man, I didn't realize how good Face Off was," and I was like, "Oh,
It's good is
you
such a
lost me."
word. It's such a multifaceted. It's a prismatic word that can make things seem. Where to begin? So these movies both probably deserve their full hour, but they're not going to get it. So
I don't
we
think they
started
will.
with the 2000 Mel Gibson vehicle.
What Women Want.
Women Want. Wherein, do you want to summarize the movie or should I?
It's just sexism in a bottle. I don't know.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, this movie was actually, I looked it up later, was written by a Viagra pill. I didn't know that.
What?
But yeah. It was written by a bottle of Viagra.
Apparently, it was written by a woman, which is.
It was directed by a woman. I don't know if it was
Oh,
written by a
okay.
woman. I can't
'Cause-
imagine it was written by a woman. I don't think women are allowed to write.
Not unless you're. What's the name for? Oh, what's the name for when you have a fake?
Ghostwriter?
Yeah, maybe I think so. Like back in the day before women were allowed
Pseudonym?
to write.
Yeah, that's why a lot of
Yeah,
women
pseudonym.
have a lot of female writers are. Whenever you see a writer that's J.K. Rowling, that's just initials.
Oh,
it's a woman. That's
I never
why they
thought
would do
about that.
Yeah,
Is that-
Harper Lee being an exception because it sounds like a guy's name.
I could probably go
There's
by.
another one. Margaret Mitchell is an obvious exception, who wrote Gone with the Wind, and then
Okay.
never wrote anything. Like Harper Lee, wrote one, maybe, arguably the greatest American novel ever, or maybe even English language
know
novel,
what?
and then never wrote anything ever again.
I didn't really get it.
Gone with the Wind? You never read Gone with the Wind?
No, the other one.
To Kill a Mockingbird?
Yeah. I think they
Doesn't
just
matter.
they made me like The Great Gatsby. I know isn't Harper Lee, but like those like fucking
Correct.
quote unquote
F. Scott
classics are just
Fitzgerald.
fuck you, you know. You hated The Catcher in the Rye. Like all these like quote unquote classic amazing pieces of literature are, frankly, not worth my fucking time. Like what was good about The Great Gatsby? I fucking hated that, and I'm pretty sure, multiple movies about it. Like I think in school we read the book and then watched the movie, and then I think that the new Leonardo DiCaprio movie came out.
Leonardo.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was gonna say Leo, and then I was like, don't.
Catcher in the Rye is actually interesting. It's flipped. J.D. Salinger wrote Catcher in the Rye. J.D. Salinger is a man. He also wrote those. Was it him or Fitzgerald? I think
Wasn't
it was
F.
F. Scott Fitzgerald is also a man. Yeah.
See, that's
But it's men publish under names and initials.
Men can do whatever the
Women
fuck they want.
Tend to
Anyway.
be pigeonholed a little bit.
Yeah, back to the actual...
Salinger wrote stories that were interesting. I think 9. I know 9. I don't know what I'm saying. I think, but goddamn, Catcher in the Rye was horrible. We've talked about it. How stupid Holden Caulfield is.
He's fine.
You remember? Because we talked about this maybe 3 weeks ago.
We did.
You remember why it's called Catcher in the Rye?
Because he had a weird dream where he was
Not a
making
dream.
sure the kids didn't... Or his future
did,
goal.
He did have a dream, and that inspired... What he wanted to do with his life was stand in a giant field of rye, which is like wheat,
and children.
Have all these kids playing this giant game of tag on a cliffside, and if any of them kind of lost track of where they were and were meandering or running, really, towards the edge of the cliff, he would go over and he would catch them so that they wouldn't fall.
But it's symbolism of, like, losing yourself and, like, letting, you know... It's
symbolism of Holden Caulfield being a goddamn moron.
I'm gonna be honest, that book spoke to me. I liked that book a lot.
Did it call you an asshole? You were an asshole for liking it? Did it tell you to kill John Lennon?
The one that
Did it tell you to shoot Ronald Reagan? Is that what it said to you?
hated was The Great Gatsby. And then I think there were a couple other ones that I just absolutely was like, fuck off.
Let me tell you, old sport.
The Salem Witch one, Scarlet Letter.
The Scarlet Letter, yeah.
Just fuck off.
Scarlet Letter was really bad. That was
Crucible, terrible.
Crucible was quite good.
Get out of my lips. I don't need
Get out of my lips. Yeah, we've talked about Giles Corey, I think, as one of the most interesting deaths ever.
Didn't he say something weird when he died?
More weight.
Yeah.
They crushed him to death. Yeah. He was 19 people and Giles Corey were killed in the Salem witch trials. Giles Corey does not count because Giles Corey
was a man.
Well, no, there were, I think, 4 men and 15 women or something like that killed, convicted of witchcraft in the Salem witch trials. But Giles Corey was not convicted. He refused to be tried. He said, this is a sham. This is absolutely... I'm not even stepping inside that court. No, I'm not putting my name on this list. I'm not letting you... Absolutely not. And so they put a board on top of him and
Power
then
of
put
the white man.
Rocks or something on top of the board. I don't think it's verified exactly what it was, but they tried to squish him to just compel him to testify, and every time they asked him, are you ready to stand trial, whatever, he would just say, more weight, and then they would put more weight on him, and apparently, I think it took a few days to kill him, but that's how he died.
I just opened this like a monkey. I don't know what the fuck happened.
Yeah, that's weird.
Anyway, so what women want? Rob.
Yeah, what women want, the Mel Gibson 2000 vehicle, wherein Mel Gibson works for some ad agency, and they bring in some lady boss, and she...
to save the company.
Yeah, she gets Mel Gibson's the job he should have been up for, blah, blah, blah. And so she gives everyone a box of a bunch of feminine products, not pads and stuff, but, you know, makeup and moisturizer.
Shaving.
And some, pore strip and leggings or whatever. And it says, you gotta come up with a slogan for one of these or something. And Mel Gibson goes home and he gets drunk as hell, because it's the only way a man like Mel Gibson
off red wine
would try a pore strip. And he puts on a bunch of stuff, and then he falls into the bathtub with hair dryer on, electrocutes him. Not electrocutes him.
You should die.
Shocks him, and that gives him, while wearing hose, he gets shocked, and that gives him the ability to read not even the ability, the compulsion to read women's thoughts. He can't turn it off. Every woman
isn't compulsion kind of voluntary?
No.
It's the opposite of that, isn't it, I guess? Obsessive compulsive isn't really...
definition, you're compelled to do something.
Got it.
So he has this radar that picks up any thoughts that any women are having, and they're fully formed sentences, obviously, for the purpose of this movie. And he can even understand dogs as long as they're female, so... Kind of
sexist.
Seems strange.
I mean, more sexist than the rest of it.
I don't know if it's sexist. It's just an odd choice.
I think it's...
Why would you make that part of it?
To me, it feels sexist. It's like comparing us to dogs. It's saying we're all the same.
I don't think that's it, but...
I'm a woman, so I'm allowed to have my own opinion about what I find sexist, you know? So maybe step off my dick. Anyway, thoughts? You summarized it, but now...
So, it's 11:17 p.m., dear reader. Just for the time checks on the ones and the twos. Coming to you from the top of the world. Yeah, this movie was weird. This movie was weird. This movie was weird. It was a lot of... Because it came out in 2000, so it might have even been filmed in
2000?
Yeah. It might have even been... When did...
I thought it was the 80s.
No.
Oh, that's hard.
So this has a lot of... Might have been filmed in 99, but it came out in 2000. This movie has a lot of 90s trope stuff. And also a lot of... This movie was simultaneously ahead of its time and a decade out of date.
Yeah.
This movie could have been made... Half this movie could have been made in 91 and half of it could have been made 5 or 6 years ago. It was
would agree with you.
Interesting.
Because I think like a lot of what they're saying was completely accurate, where it was like, wait a second, women have thoughts that matter.
Yeah.
But also the fact that they're still confused about that means that you're back in the 90s. It's like, this isn't...
Yeah.
It also, like, I think a lot of the things... Like, one thing that I had a huge problem with was that he was, like, reading a woman's thoughts, and he was, like, trying to use their thoughts against them, kind of, in, like, a way where he was like, I'm going to do a good job on my ad pitch because I'm going to literally read your thoughts and tell you what you want to hear. And then he reads a woman's thoughts, says it out loud, and then the woman denies it.
Yes, I've never used an Advil to fake get out of sex, whatever, fake a headache.
And then he, like, confronts her about it, and he's like, yes, come on, of course you've done that. And she goes, no, I haven't. And I was like, the fact that the woman actually did that, and then when she was confronted about it, she lied about it, to me just made women look really shitty.
No, I think you took this movie too personally.
No.
Which
it's impossible.
I think you are overreacting, and you can't spell overreacting without ovary. Because
Rob,
you're a woman.
Hey.
Yeah, what's up?
I'm gonna leave.
This movie was in a lot of ways was in the spirit of Mel Gibson, which is to say, men and women, men.
See, because you seem to
women exist as.
See, because you feel like this movie was sexist too, but you're telling me I'm overreacting.
I'm saying that one scene was not.
I completely disagree.
Read way too far into
way.
it. There's nothing in this movie that's that nuanced or.
It's just, why would they have made a woman character a liar when they're trying to make women
a liar? She lied about one thing because one character told one lie about one thing that would have looked embarrassing otherwise. They made her lie so that Mel Gibson would fall flat on his face. That was the point. It was her lying was an instrument to make Mel Gibson have to learn how to use his powers properly. Because if it was just as simple as you read women's thoughts and you repeat them out loud, he would have never learned to actually listen to women and interpret. And so, the movie was interesting because I don't know why. You kind of see it a little bit in the 70s, but in movies in the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, and mostly the 70s, they're not really super in your face about the fact that that's the time frame that they're in.
Okay.
Right? Like you watch a Woody Allen movie or let's say you watch like 12 Angry Men is a movie I'm a fan of, which I think is from the 50s. Or you watch Taxi Driver from the 70s. Those are just movies that they're evergreen. They could have taken place at any time. You see the cars and you go, oh, I guess this is probably the 70s.
Yeah.
But the movie could have been set in the 70s and filmed in the 2000s. You don't know. Movies in the 80s and 90s are so... And this movie I'm counting as the 90s because it was kind of...
Okay.
This script was probably written like 1994. Are so aggressively products of their time.
Yeah.
That they age out of relevance. I mean, the cultural stuff ages out of relevance in like 18 months. It's so... They had a montage of this girl trying on dresses and it was, what a girl wants, what a girl... It was so quintessentially 90s, and she tried on a leopard print thing, and it's just so...
A lot of the scenes were
everything
so unoriginal.
Was so, all the characters, all like the hairstyles, the clothing.
Even like the ad agency thing, it was also like a very common thing.
Yeah, 1 out of 3 Americans works in an ad agency, right? No, man, this is weird.
It's very strange. So, yeah, I mean, I didn't have a problem with that, although I have a problem with that with all movies that are from that time, but that definitely would not be my biggest problem with this fucking movie.
No, it's just so weird. The music and the everything, the boyfriend, the daughter's boyfriend who had the soul patch and the weird body jewelry or whatever the fuck.
Like the hair.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, this frosted tips or whatever the fuck he was doing. Yeah. It's just look like a normal person, man. Look like you could have blended in 15 years ago.
It takes you out of it a little bit.
Yeah, it really does. It entirely, not even a little bit. Every time he's on screen, you go, oh yeah, that's right. This is a movie, and it was filmed in the 90s.
The daughter, too. Like, what they did with her fashion and her face, and it's just like... You look at this girl, and you know exactly what's going to come out of her mouth. Because you're like, all right, this is your trope, and you got to play the game.
There's a big difference between a movie in the 40s having a rotary phone and a movie in the 80s having... Everyone having gigantic hair and talking about their gigantic hair and talking about... leg warmers
disco.
And talking about disco's more the 70s, but yeah,
talking about dumb music,
talking about stuff that's, I mean, the giant hair and stuff, the leg warmers. If you're in the 80s and writing movies in the 80s, that's only been around and been relevant for 3 years.
They understand that fashion goes out of style.
That's not going to hold up in 30 years.
I don't know what the fucking deal is.
The music isn't going to be relevant to someone watching this movie a year from now. Like, no one's going to remember these songs except a few across the decade. It's so, you talk about the fact that it's 1986 every other
it's weird
sentence.
It's
weird. Tell this story and be in this
the people
time.
From the 80s and were just so obsessed with being from the 80s.
Yeah,
like,
it really was.
My mom even, no offense mom, but it's still very much like she loves to reminisce about the 80s, and she's like, no, it wasn't that I was a teenager, it was the 80s and I was a teenager. And I'm just like, well,
the 80s, if I could choose to be growing up in any time period,
I would avoid the 80s.
Of the last century, the 80s would probably be at the very bottom of my list. I mean, the fashion is the worst. The music is, some of it's, I mean, by and large, it's horrible. I mean, the popular music is really terrible.
They had some good fucking rock and stuff. But...
Everything was falling to shit, but the technology hadn't caught up with things. The global warming was spiraling out of control, and no one cared about it yet.
Yeah.
Like, gay people were starting to become part of mainstream culture, but everyone was just beating the shit out of them.
Yeah.
And throwing rocks at them. So things weren't happening. Things were starting to happen and being terrible.
I think, like, the 90s and the 2000s were also just, like, really boring. It was just, it
just
seemed
they
like
had these explosions of fascinating technology and, like, cell phones and the internet and all this shit. The 80s, I would rather either live in the 30s where there's no... Because in the 80s... They had computers, and they were fun. You could use them to play Pong or as a sophisticated calculator.
Yeah.
That's it. I would rather live in the 40s where we don't have computers.
Yeah.
And it's not a distraction, and I don't have to pretend to be amazed by the fact that you can make a Word document.
Yeah.
And that your computer has 5 kilobytes of memory.
And you need to, like, go to school to learn how to type to be a
Seriously,
secretary.
you have to take typing class. Right, exactly.
Yeah,
the same thing. Women were allowed in the workforce, but as long as they were just working a desk job.
Yeah, you have 2 careers.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's the same. Just give me one of these polars, where one of these extremes, where it's probably very easy for me to say because I'm a straight white man that I can just go whenever.
You can do whatever the fuck you want.
Sure, but I'm just saying even if you're not participating in anything, even if you're just going back and watching from from a cloud or something. The 80s are so goddamn boring.
It would just be like watching people take ecstasy and
cocaine.
Yeah,
a lot of cocaine.
Do cocaine in New York clubs and roller dance, skate.
Yeah, dance to techno.
Yeah, it's fine. I don't literally none of that sounds exciting at all.
Yeah, I would rather even if I'm just watching people dance, I'd rather watch people disco or do swing dancing or something. Right, exactly. Yeah. Watch the flappers, something. God damn, the 80s are fucking terrible.
Yeah.
And then the 90s are just like thrift store 80s.
Yeah, I feel like the 90s was super boring.
Yeah, shit started to happen towards the very end, but that was mostly people just panicking about Y2K. So,
oh my God. Yeah, could you imagine thinking that the world is going to end when the year turns a certain number?
I can't imagine being that stupid, but...
I remember in 2012, like, even then I was like, you guys... no, like, I remember being like, I'm gonna keep an eye on when the new year is, just in case, but also nothing's gonna happen.
It wasn't the year 2012, it was a date. It was December 21st.
Regardless, I remember, like, being aware of it,
that
and
was stupid.
Not being scared.
That was bunk. Y2K was also stupid, but there was at least
It was like the banks, right?
Well, people thought that because people don't understand computers and people are stupid, and maybe some very rudimentary computers would. People thought once the year 2000 hit, all the dates would go from being, whatever, 12/31/99 to just being, because if it's just the last two digits, it would be 00, and that would cause all the computers to reset. And so the banks would collapse and planes would fall out of the sky. That was the fear. That's idiotic.
You must know that planes don't work that way.
Well, so that's stupid, but if you don't understand computers and someone told you that, I understand how you might have that fear and go, oh shit. If that happens, we're fucked.
Yeah.
I don't know enough about computers to know if it's going to happen, but I know if it happens, then shit's going to hit the fan.
Yeah, but the fact that people are like, yes, this sounds legit.
Right. Well, I mean, they just don't know anything about computers. So that I get. How you think that the Mayans and their calendar, which doesn't even say it's the end of the world, it's just the calendar resets. It's like saying, the Mayans say the year ends, so it's going to be the end of the world. It's like, no, man, they're saying that its next cycle starts. How you think that is going to predict? It's like saying Nostradamus said the world was going to end. What the fuck are you talking about?
Their voodoo shit, I don't know.
Some medieval French dudes. Yeah, it's.
We need to get back to this movie.
It's way dumber.
You took us down a.
Yeah, Mel Gibson. I don't know. I thought this movie, besides being aggressively really in your face about being in the 90s, I thought it was fine. Judy Greer was in it. I'm not a big Judy Greer fan.
She was in it for all of 10 seconds.
Yeah, she was in 4 or 5 scenes, but I'm a fan.
She's in that show Kidding that I will not shut up about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She looks exactly the same as she did 20 years ago. But yeah, it's a fine movie if you walk into it understanding what you're getting into and you think, oh, it's progressive for 1999.
It just makes me mad.
Probably a little behind the times for 2014. And here we are well into the 2020s. So, but if that either doesn't bother you or you just want to see what that's like, it's an interesting enough movie. It's like an hour 55 or something.
Yeah, I would say it was a little bit too long.
Maybe a little bit, but
a little bit of the scenes were just long for no reason.
Yeah,
or just
like
included
the dress
in general
montage.
Well, that you need one of those. You just every movie with women in it needs one of those.
Right. You don't need it, and also it went on. Have her try on 3 dresses, and then the 4th one be the one. She tried on 11 dresses. It was too much.
It was weird. And
even for a montage that doesn't belong in the movie, it was still too much.
I think there were a couple scenes too where he was dancing or some weird shit alone in his house where it was just this doesn't need to be included.
Yeah, the movie probably could have lost 10 minutes here or there, but it was okay. It was kind of funny and kind of upbeat and had some heart, and
Yeah, I remember
Mel Gibson, his performance was good.
When my friends suggested this movie, I immediately was like, yes, let's do it. I remember liking it when I saw it the first time. I just found it to be a lot more enraging this time. I guess because I'm older and those stereotypes are no longer acceptable, but...
What do you mean?
I think that, when I was watching this movie, presumably in the 90s, or, no, presumably in the early, mid-2000s or whatever, I'm sure, my brain wasn't able to comprehend, wow, this is super sexist. I don't think I really would have the same lens back then as now that I do that. I'm a woman now, and...
Do you think that's because you're older, or do you think that's because of the way that
the
world has made you more aware of...
Both. I mean...
Cognizant of these issues?
I think once I started interacting with men...
Now.
I think that's really where I was wait. This is what you guys think about me?
Hold up. Penis in the vagina? I don't know about this, guys.
No. When I, had more relationships with men that I think... I don't know, I
don't know.
Can you stop?
Okay.
I just, was always... I didn't really understand the male brain in the same way, and I think once I got more... And, once I started working and stuff, and I was I'm in a work environment, I don't think... Even before the Me Too movement, I was yeah, I'm super not okay with being raped. It wasn't... It's not
Yeah, sure.
It's not since society became intolerant of bad men, I
Cincinnatus.
I remember, when the Me Too movement came out, I've been
Washington has been called the American Cincinnatus. Go ahead.
I've been super feminist for forever.
I'd say... your feminism is peculiar because you rally in favor of noble goals like not letting women be raped and equal work, equal pay, all that. But then sometimes you opine things that are against specific women. I don't think you're very feminist against these general causes, but then you say things that are aggressively misogynistic against individual women, and it's almost shocking.
What do you mean?
I mean,
don't give me.
I think you know what I mean.
Examples.
I'm not going to bring this up on the pod.
I find relationships, I find female friendships to be difficult in a lot of situations.
Sure, I mean not even women you know, but celebrities, for example, or stuff like that. Yeah, no.
I don't think that it's anti-feminist of me to not agree with what another woman is doing.
No. I'm not saying that, obviously. I'm saying the things you say specifically about other women can be aggressively anti-feminist. Not because you're disagreeing with a woman. Because the content of... We have talked about it, and then you yell at me for insinuating that what you're saying is bad.
Yeah, I think... Because I remember doing this, but I just don't agree with you.
I know, I'm not allowed to... Well, you don't... Not, A, you don't agree with me, and B, what it generally boils down to is you telling me I'm not allowed to tell you that you're sexist because I'm a man and you're a woman.
No.
Okay. So...
No, I just don't think I agree with you.
Face Off. Was this a Bruckheimer film? Maybe. I don't know. Nick Cage, I'll look it up. Nick Cage and John Travolta. Why don't you summarize this one? Because I summarized the last one.
I literally already said that I did not watch this movie. I had a lot more to say about
what the...
Nope.
Movie's
basically,
about.
Okay, so John Travolta, spoiler alert, is a father, and he's just chilling, and then all of a sudden Nick Cage comes in and fucking shoots his son to death. I think he was...
John Woo, not Bruckheimer.
He was trying to kill John Travolta. My nails are wet, you fucking bitch.
So why do you put them right next to my arm?
I don't know, because I thought you had more spatial awareness. Anyway, so... The other day I was painting and then I leaned back and I put my hand right on my canvas. And
good work. So
pissed.
I'll do it.
Anyway, I'm doing it.
If you don't know what the movie's about.
So basically, then John Travolta is this FBI agent or some shit, and his life mission becomes to catch Nick Cage. And he's like, all right, let's fucking do it. And then they're like, guy, the only way to do it is to take his brother's...
This is our... No. No, this is already going off the rails. No, stop.
They got his face.
Nick Cage's face.
Yeah.
So Travolta's a...
I was doing a fine job.
Stop.
You're a cunt.
Nick Cage is a terrorist. Travolta is law enforcement. They catch Nick Cage, and in order to defuse some bomb that he planted, God knows where, they have to find it. And so they have to get the information from Cage's brother, and the only way they say to do that is for Travolta to have this procedure wherein he puts Nick Cage's face over... He gets his own face cut off, and then he puts Nick Cage's face on his head. So Nick Cage... And then they trim the fat from his love handles, and they shorten his body hair, and give him contacts and a voice box and all this shit. And so it's basically, after the 30-minute mark or so, it's Travolta playing Nick Cage, and Nick Cage, playing Travolta. And it's fantastic. This movie too, I think it was 97. This movie is also a kind of tropish type of action film where it's, there's this bomb and we've got to defuse it, and you cut the green wire, and you're a loose renegade cop, and you know, all that bullshit. So from just the plot of the movie, not particularly fascinating, but the twist of it being these two guys literally switch faces and then have to play each other. It's fascinating. It's art. It's a masterpiece. Face Off is a masterpiece. I don't know who did a better job of... Did Cage do a better job playing Travolta, or did Travolta do a better job playing Cage? Because Cage, as always, is unhinged. And so he does a good job of playing an enraged John Travolta, but then he does a really good job, and you're surprised when he's actually much more reserved, which I think going that big, as Nick Cage always does, actually makes the quieter stuff easier, because you don't have to be that subtle about it. You just have to be less subtle than you were when you were screaming, which is quite simple. Just don't scream. But he does a good job. But Travolta also does a very respectable performance of, frankly, doing the impossible, which is to imitate the feral freneticism of one Nicolas Cage. And so he really brings the heat to this movie, and he goes as full Nick Cage as anyone besides Nick Cage can really go. And he does a really good job, and it's really fun to watch. And it's hilarious in kind of a bizarre way. Obviously, it's bizarre, and yeah, I'd say this one's also about 2 hours, maybe 2:10. I don't know. I'd say this is probably the stronger. They're obviously two different films, very, very, very different films. But I'd say this is probably the stronger of the two. If you're genre-wise, if you're unbiased, and you would just as soon watch a John Woo action film, not really action film, more like I guess it is, a John Woo action film as you would watch, kind of a rom-com type, then this is still probably the stronger movie just because it's so off the fucking walls and it's non-stop. I mean, even scenes where nothing's really happening of any sort of import or significance, it's still so goddamn fascinating because you're just watching Nick Cage pretend to be John Travolta and John Travolta pretend to be Nick Cage. I could watch these guys pretending to be each other, brushing their teeth and shaving and making breakfast and just going about a morning routine, and it would be fast. It would be more interesting than 70% of movies that I've seen. So that's Face Off. Jessica, do you have anything to add? You've been quiet for the past 4 or 5 minutes.
You took my summary away. And I'm mad. I'm upset. My heart is broken.
No, don't have a broken heart.
You called me anti-feminist.
No,
I'm having a bad day.
No, come here, sweetie. You're a sweet boy. Hi, beautiful. Hi. Hi, buddy. Peach had a good day, huh?
Yeah, my lizard is very happy.
Yeah, Peaches. Peaches is doing great.
Peaches.
So you're doing
He's
okay,
such a good
right?
dog. Yeah, I miss him.
Yeah, he's a sweet boy.
I wish I was with him now.
Yeah.
Look, I would agree with you. I think that the acting was spectacular. I agree that it was really fun to watch John Travolta kind of unhinge himself, and he seemed to very naturally be able to do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
he was Nick Caging it up.
I agree with you. Like, Nick Cage, it was kind of like, yeah, it seemed easy for him to be normal, but I'm sure how hard could it have been to just not scream every 5 seconds.
Right.
But
it's easy to look normal when you're being compared to Nicolas Cage.
Although I think Nick Cage right out the gate went a little, like, the faces that he makes in this movie are too much, and it took me out of it, for sure.
It was Nick Cage. Well, then I don't know what you're expecting.
I think with, I don't know, like, he didn't make any of those fucking faces in the...
National Treasure?
Yeah.
If that's the only other Nick Cage movie you've seen,
yeah,
that's the tamest Nick Cage performance. Leaving Las Vegas,
it was, like, very...
or what's that other one? That The Wicker Man.
I don't know. Yeah.
Gone in 67. I mean, there are a lot of...
I haven't seen any of these crazy ones. But what I was gonna say,
there was one that he was a vampire in. I don't remember what it was called.
Ooh.
No. Trust me, not like that.
What was I gonna say? Shit.
Is he a vampire, or does he think he's a vampire? Now I don't even remember that. Nick Cage, John Travolta.
So I thought, and to your point about, let me fucking talk. You keep opening your fucking mouth.
I'm raising my hand so as not to interrupt you.
Okay, well, you interrupted me like 3 times. I feel like I'm having trouble because I know, like, I saw this movie as a kid, or so I thought. And
what? Who would have shown you
my
this?
dad showed me Austin Powers when I was like 5 years old.
This is not Austin Powers.
I know, but I'm saying this is...
This is worse than... This is bad parenting.
So anyway, I saw this movie, I'm pretty sure, at like a pretty young age, and I thought it was fine at the time.
I don't think you're old enough to see this movie now.
Yeah. It just, like, I think it's hard because I'm biased towards chick flicks, so to me, I'm like, obviously, what women want, I like more, but I think what you were saying about trying to be unbiased, and if you don't care about action versus rom-com...
So what women want is what women want?
It just, like... Although, again, you didn't really let me talk about what women want either that much, but... Way to mansplain everything, but...
Jessica, let me tell you something.
Just mansplain the sexism movie for me,
Let me tell you something.
Why should I get to talk?
You're not being silenced because you're a woman. You're being silenced because the things you say are crazy. And the things you say are crazy because you're a woman.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, yeah, I mean, that movie pissed me off a lot, What Women Want, and
Talking about Face Off.
Okay.
Talking about Face Off here.
I never get to do what I want.
No, you don't. Question.
I'm so sick
How
of you.
much were you paying attention to this movie? You say you were not
Face
paying...
Off? Not...
Yeah. How much is not a lot?
It went, like once I think... Okay, so he stop it. They switch his face, and they send him to prison.
They face
and, like,
off.
The first time that you see him, he's wearing these fucking, like moon boots that are...
They're magnetic.
I know. And the prison guards control
Just stop.
the magnetism.
What are you doing? Why are you summarizing the scene?
I saw that, and I was like, I'm out.
Wait, what? That was like 35 minutes in the movie.
I was like, this
Jessica.
is so dumb. And then, like,
Jessica,
you meet his, like, love interest, and, like, she's so
you
crazy.
mean his wife?
No.
John
Nick
Travolta?
Cage's.
Nick Cage's. Yeah.
And, like,
Okay.
she's a character, and her boyfriend, husband, cousin, I don't even know
Brother,
what the fuck, whatever.
something?
Yeah.
Yeah, no one
that was
knows.
weird. So, like, all of
She's
that,
a
I was
child.
and, like, Nick started making these faces, and I was like, you know what? I'm no longer
Nick Cage.
what did I say?
Nick.
Yeah.
Just call him by his first name.
It just, to me, I was like, this is, although honestly, in the same way, like, Mel Gibson did take me out of the movie a little bit too, because I was like, he's too sexist that it's not.
It sounds like you're intimidated by strong men. Which is real unfortunate for our relationship,
the theme, fuck you. You're
because I'm the strongest
the weakest
of men.
bitch I've ever met.
One song, glory, about my balls. One song. Would a weak man sing about his balls with such passion?
Yes.
A hard rock ballad.
Yeah, so I also feel like that thing that they did, you call it waterfall hands.
Face waterfalls.
whatever.
That's not my term. I've seen and heard that term before.
Yeah, but you were the only one that gave it a name, and it was just so stupid.
It deserves a name. John Travolta grabs the faces of those he loves and then strokes them from forehead down to chin, like he did with Idina Menzel at the Oscars.
It was weird.
Or no. Yes, the Oscars, I think.
It was weird.
He's a weird dude, and it's a weird movie. That is not the weirdest part of it.
You know, like, Nick Cage, his character is played by John Travolta, and then he takes his own daughter and kind of, like, seduces her a couple times or whatever the fuck. It just was too much for me. This movie was too much.
Too much.
Yeah.
On a scale of 1 to 10.
It was like a 10. It was just too much.
It was a 10.
No,
It was a 14, and I couldn't handle it.
Well, I'm saying, like, if it's too much, it means it was a 10 by the scale that it is.
All right,
like,
that's
you know?
clearly not what I'm asking you, man.
What the fuck are you asking?
Recommending, if you had to rate this movie. God damn it.
Rob, I thought you were asking me how...
Fuck me.
You need to calm
What
down.
would you rate this movie? Would you recommend this movie?
I think I don't know.
Okay, would
It's
you
like a
recommend
3. I don't know.
a 3?
It was fine. I don't think it was like that good. I agree that the acting was really fun to watch, but I don't think as you know what? I think this movie also when it came out was pretty original.
I think it's
So-
still original. I don't think there are a lot of face swapping movies out there.
Yeah, I'd say like just for the fact of like saying that you've seen it, it's a good movie to have in your repertoire.
They did it once and they did it perfectly. There's no need to remake it.
It was just
no need to touch it.
Yeah, so just for the
Real
new...
Harper Lee and Margaret Mitchell type thing going here.
What?
They wrote one book and then never wrote...
Got it.
Although Harper Lee
But
has Ghost Set of Watchmen, which was A, bad, and B, was not... She didn't write it. It was an early draft for To Kill a Mockingbird, and then once she died or just became demented, her bitch of a sister published it.
Jesus Christ.
Really? She's 93 and 60 years after To Kill a Mockingbird. She suddenly wants to publish this unfinished manuscript. Really? Are you sure?
I would.
You're sure that's the lie we're going with?
monetize. I'd be like, "Fuck you, sis."
Yeah, because you're
Watch it.
a horrible Jew woman. What?
You didn't watch it.
No, I didn't.
I'm so sick.
So Face Off you gave a 3, I guess, and would not recommend.
I
or
mean,
maybe
I'll
would.
give Face Off a solid 5 because I didn't think it was a great movie, but you should probably see it.
Okay, and then What Women Want. What would you say about that?
That one's harder for me because I did enjoy it as a movie, and I think also like what happened with Mel Gibson. Like my friends immediately played the tapes that he in real life recorded with his
The 2010 Gibson tapes. He called the woman and called her a cunt and said he wanted his dick sucked in the hot tub.
And it wasn't. He also like threatened her a bunch.
Yeah.
So that it was kind of like the fact that Mel Gibson is such a monster, and I know that now, and the fact that
Hates the Jews. I mean, there's a lot of stuff.
And at the end of the movie, I didn't really think that he listened to women. I just thought that he. I didn't feel like he started off being so grossly bad, and I understand that you need to make him such a bad person to show that he changed and is now good, but it just.
I don't know.
I didn't really feel like he came back around enough that he changed.
He was a good man for the year 2000. So what?
Yeah. So I think this movie is like a little bit dated, and I think like I expected to be more carefree and fun about it, and it was kind of just like, ooh, this is still making me mad, even though he's like trying. But like an 8, like I like the movie.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, like
Pretty strong.
after prefacing with like they could have, obviously if this movie was made, although they made what Men Want.
Yeah.
And I didn't love it, but
No, it's terrible.
I just I think if this movie had been made in the exact same way now, I would have liked it maybe better. But I think also like in order to show that you're not being sexist, you still have to show people being sexist, and maybe that will always enrage me. So it's possible this movie just isn't for me generally.
Yeah,
I did think the movie was good, though. It was cute. It was, you know, Mel Gibson dancing around in nail polish for a little while, and I liked that. So
All right, great. There you go.
not to be weird, but
All right, but here we are.
yeah.
All right, great.
Bye.
See you later, pod racers.